and 1. And we should be here now. Hopefully that's all working. Hello and welcome to Band of Badgers. I am Dave, your host for this session. And joining us this time on the Q&A guest table are TOVE and ERIK JORGENSEN. Did I say that right? I did say that right that time, didn't I?
Yes.
That was right. Okay. From Midnight Tower. There we go. How are you both?
Yeah.
Good.
Appropriately caffeinated.
It does help. But at least we're in the same time zone because you're also here in the UK. So it's 9 p.m. for us. Wherever you are in the world, or even if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us. Now, both TOVE and ERIK are the co-creators behind a series of books, and their latest trilogy, which is based on Drow, we won't go into it in too much detail because we've got all that to come, is available now right on Kickstarter. So if you like what you're about to see and hear, please I'm going to get all my words mixed up. Please do go back, and back this project, because it's a Kickstarter project, and that's what we're here to do. On the right-hand side, or left-hand side of your screen, whichever one, I don't know anymore, might be across the top, who knows, are the links to the Kickstarter and various things that you can get, including a free PDF of one of the adventures and a discount. And the discount is on right now. Now, joining me, as always, is co-host Steve. If you have any questions, please do put it into chat. Steve will sort those out, and he'll ask us and our guests those questions, and we'll get those answers to you. Now, for those of you who don't know, us as Band of Badgers, we support writers, artists, designers, and creators across all of our shows across the entire world. And if you happen to have an RPG game, or a related type of RPG product, and you would like us to feature it here in this weird kind of square window, we can do. And we'll do that as maybe a live unboxing, maybe a live interview like this, or maybe if you have a Kickstarter that's kicking off soon and you just want to kind of do a signal boost, please do get in touch, okay? Don't just follow us, get in touch. Now, you can find all of our content on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/bandofbadgers. And if you would like to support us in return, you can. All you have to do is check out our Twitch subs, our Patreon, our merchandise, even an Amazon wishlist. And thank you, Perfectly Techno, for raiding. I have to go and check because it's on a different window. So now that that is out of the way, how are we doing?
We're fine.
Yes.
Everyone good? Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
No,
thank you.
Well, the first question is easy. Tell us a little bit more about yourselves, a little bit more about the Midnight Tower, how, why, when, and then we'll come back to the most important thing, the Kickstarter. So I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to have a drink, I wish it was beer, but I should have thought of that before.
Well,
So who wants to start?
Well, I can make a hesitant start. Starting with Midnight Tower. So this came into being, when was this? Early 2019?
Yes.
Yeah. And we had this idea that let's write an adventure and put on the DM's Guild or Drive-Through RPG and see if we can actually, if someone else wants to buy our adventure, and maybe we can raise money to buy Tome of Foes. That was the goal. And so we did that, and it took us forever because we have been writing adventures while DMing forever. But co-writing something and making sure that other people would actually understand what on earth we're writing, that was a different matter. And one thing led to another. We did that, and then we decided, you decided that in, I think it was October 2019.
I stumbled upon some post on social media or whatever. I was like, Kickstarter, that sounds fun. We should do that. And then I just talked ERIK into it. And that's how it started.
So how did the very first Kickstarter go?
It went, from our point of view, amazingly good. We had over 500 backers. And we were sort of hoping, will we get 125 quid or 1,000 or whatever it was. It wasn't much, but so we were quite surprised, and I think that's kind of later on sort of made us create more Kickstarters and more adventures as well. So we had a good start. We were really happy with that. I'm still very happy about it actually. So, well,
I mean, to actually write something that takes that long, that you put, so much effort and passion into it, you get a lot of rewriting to say, is this perfect? And then to put it out there for people to kind of put their money towards, to back it.
Yeah.
But to go past your original goal. So you think, who's going to be interested in what? No one knows who I am.
No, exactly. That's what I was like.
Sit there and suddenly,
force, how many friends do we have? Can I get my granny to sponsor this? We were just hoping to sort of, get people on board. So yeah, and surprisingly, it worked. I had no idea how Kickstarter actually worked, and I was really surprised about it. I was like, why would anyone just sponsor a stranger? But that's kind of it's like when you give to charity, why would you do that? Because it makes you feel good and it's nice, and hopefully make the world a little bit better, and it's pretty much the same thing in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been backing Kickstarters for the past couple of recent years now, and it's weirdly during lockdown here in the UK, the stuff that I backed in 2019, stuff just started arriving at the door. So during lockdown, I was like, "Oh, it's Christmas! Look, a big box. It's all mine. It's mine." And then Kickstarters, and it was such a great feeling because yes, the Kickstarters now are being slowed down by all the big boat traffic jams and everything else. But it is so nice. It is so nice when you kind of believe in someone. They have a really good idea, and it does. It starts with friends and colleagues and family and stuff like that. Give me some money. But once it starts to spread, how many Kickstarters have you done now?
This is our 6th Kickstarter that we've done. So we've done 5 before, and this is number 6.
Over how many years?
We did the first one in 2019, pretty much 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
it was autumn. Yeah.
But that's great that you can. That you've got that ability to get those books out to people to have, and we'll come on to this in a bit. But all your adventures are also linked. So there's a kind of there's a loose theme. There's a loose theme. The Winterhold is a town, and your adventures are level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So I'm caught up to level 12 at the moment. Is that the highest we've gone? And then, so I'm just going to start asking questions because if the audience haven't asked any questions yet, I'm going to ask questions. So we'll go higgledy-piggledy, we'll go around, we'll just dance around with questions.
That's fine.
What comes next? Because the Drow Trilogy, the current Kickstarter is a Drow Trilogy, and that's kind of remastering the work. It's going back and honing that to make it as good as you can do. But that's not past 12th level, the way I understand it, unless there's bonus content in there.
Well, we do. I think it's 25% more content in this adventure than it was from the beginning. So we're expanding the story a little bit, mainly to give a little bit more backstory about the main villain. And we're also adding to the compendium with stretch goals and a little bit of other things that we felt like we wanted to have. So it is becoming a little bit more than it was before. I think what comes next is actually to finish the book, I suppose. And then we will most likely do another Kickstarter next year, but we haven't really decided. So, because the thing is, like, we are counting like in Star Wars. So we started with adventure going backwards and then realizing, maybe we should make books. So the murder mysteries are more like standalone one-shot adventures. So you can play Before the Stroke of Midnight and What Happened to Evie Ashwood as sort of standalone ones. And then we have the Trilogy series, which starts with Hunter's Full Moon, but which is only available as PDFs. And then now Secrets of the Drow, that's the second trilogy. And then we have Rise of the Ice Dragon and Nine Omens as sort of the fourth trilogy. So it is a little bit complicated, but eventually we will make a Kickstarter for Hunter's Full Moon because I think people may actually potentially strangle us if we don't. People are sort of like, what about these other adventures? We're like, this is just a murder mystery that I wrote and I really want to publish. So we'll come to that eventually.
Yeah. I think it's nice because which ones have I got? I've got the Before the Stroke of Midnight, So you have the Ice Dragons Trilogy, which is 3 adventures. They're nice. They're nice and compact. So it's not going to take you 10 months to complete them. It's loads of room for role playing, which is great to see. And you also add in there here's a non-combat option as well. So if you want to fight the big bad, you can. But here's a non-combat solution as well, which is great to see. But then if you've done that for a couple of months or a few sessions, depending on how many D&D sessions you get around the table, you then have something else. It's a little different. It's a different flavour, but it's not another trilogy. So your players still get to go up a level. They still get to stay in the familiarity of Winterhold and the Eastern Faraway. But we'll come back to that in a sec. And it's just really nice to kind of, we're doing this now. By the way, we have there's that spooky mansion on top of the hill. What's going on there? We saw a light. Oh, I don't know. Let's go and have a look. Ha ha. And then they find what they find. And then once they've done that, they're on to the next trilogy. It's here's the proper adventure. Here's something else. It's a little bit of downtime, which has something. It's not a dungeon crawl downtime. Here's a downtime, but here's a Scooby-Doo story. It's something really nice to.
And I mean, you can fit it for like Halloween, or if you're running a session and everyone is running the trilogy, you can just sort of squeeze that in as in between. Or as you say, if you just want something else, like again, sick and tired of all this snow and stuff, and dragons are boring. Let's do something else. Ghosts and Halloween. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it. Yeah.
So I mentioned the location. So this is all these series of books. Is this the Eastern Faraway? Now the audience can't see what I'm just doing. There we go, like that. And we'll have a close up look in the book in about 15 minutes. We'll have a proper look at the book for the audience. But this is the location map. It's beautifully done. You have my favourite town in there already, Hammersong, which is now mine. But you have the central town of Winterhold. And the adventures are set in this area. So where did this idea come from? And how have you kind of populated all these different towns and locations?
So part of this, the entire world was invented by me like 20 years ago when I was on a field trip for 6 weeks with no internet and no computer. So pretty much on a deserted island, I started writing about this world. And I also had a big wall, which was before George R. Martin and all of that. And then we started playing in this world. So we have been playing, but mainly in a different part, which is pretty much northern Faraway, for quite some time. And then the adventures here, the Hunters for the Moon starts down in Buckwald, which is more of a forest area with a lot of wilderness, and then the characters moves up. They end up in this Winterhold where the Secrets of the Drow is set, which is it's not a dwarven town, but there's quite a lot of dwarven architecture. It's a town that's set halfway into a cave, and it has like old mines and obviously lots of dark elves underneath. And then later on they move on to North Windgate, which is more like an academic town, and then up to Whiteport, and then they arrive at Shieldsburg Castle in between, and a little bit of other areas. We also have several mini adventures which are set sort of like in between in this world. So yeah, but most of the world is from me, and then I tend to terrorize my players, like, where's your character from? You have to tell me. They're like, I don't know, Capitan, I suppose. But like, excellent, tell me more about Capitan. And then I just sort of like write everything down. So yeah, and steal their ideas pretty much.
It's the way to do it.
The trilogies are the 3 adventures, but they're also expanding on the world lore in each one as well. There's a little bit more lore that you release with each trilogy.
Yes. So I try to add as much lore as I can without getting people too bored about it. One day, if I have time, I'll write like a whole encyclopedia, because I do have like notes and bits, and some of it's just sort of scribbles, and others is more of a continuous, because that's why I know everything about the world. And I go like, well, surely there's a mountain. I was like, no, there are no mountains there. What are you going on about? So Sometimes I have to re-edit deep writing because it's not correct. So yeah.
So is each trilogy set in a different place? You said the Superstar Hours is set in Winterhold. Are the other 3 trilogies set in entirely different locations, or do you all center around Winterhold generally?
They're all set in different places. There's one starting the southern part of that map,
Right.
not necessarily the southern part of that world, and then they move north. And then you get, with each town, you get a bit more lore, a bit more background history, some interesting locations. So we try to move from town to town. And there's been, to our surprise and huge joy, there's been several requests for some kind of campaign handbook. Because we didn't know. Surely we just bore people if we keep talking about this town. And the response we had was like, no, tell us more.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of having those little snippets in the adventure. So you don't get bogged down with needing to refer to a lot of lore outside. And it kind of makes you want to get the next trilogy because you're looking forward to find out about the next town. So I can see why people would want the campaign, but I'm not entirely sure it would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, no, but I also think that it's fair because maybe the DM go like, well, I can then sort of incorporate this into my campaign, or this sort of like, this is a nice little town, but oh, didn't you know they have a bakery, or you just add your own flavor with that. So I mean, if anyone is watching and they're a GM, you can do whatever you want with the world. It's your world as well. So yeah.
Just to add on to that as well, when I've had a flick through some of the books myself, there's an element which you don't really see in a lot of D&D adventures. And it was really nice to see here, which was returning home after you've been in the dungeon, basically. So you've done the adventure and you know, right, now we've got to walk all the way back. And you literally have a page. And it's like, here's a random encounter. On the way home, you meet this. Wow. And it's nice. It's nice to tie that in. And you kind of go, and then you make it back to the inn.
Yes.
And then you can
Imagine getting killed in that encounter, though.
Well, that's the price of playing tabletop games, isn't it?
You can't have it all.
Yeah. It's not the GMs. It's the dice that kill people. That's what it is.
Yeah. So, but I agree, and I like that in storytelling, how you get this sort of like a circle going. Mm-hmm. So you sort of return, even if it's just like a small trilogy. It's nice to have that sort of like, oh, back to the Shire again. You know, it's I like it. So I mean, sure, you can end up, you know, with a treasure and the killed, slayed beast and monsters and all of that. But it is nice to sort of like have your own little cozy inn where you can, you know, have mead and, you know, buy everyone around and brag about the adventure. So,
and it's nice as well, again, the ones I've read, because I keep referring to the books. We're going to show the books in a minute. We're going to show the books, we will. There's a bit where you've got the NPCs, the NPC artwork, and you got like the dwarf Born. And he's just this really nice guy who he helps you. He puts you on missions. There's a mission there where you go after his granddaughter, his daughter, or something like that. And at the end, he turns around. He's saying thank you, and it's kind of like, no, my words aren't good enough because you're all adventurers. And he takes off the wall. It's like, here's my weapon. Here's my heavy crossbow. And it's like, and it's just at the very end, the heroes still get a reward. And I liked that. You know, there are these, I don't know, there are these you can imagine this as more like a TV sitcom where the main characters have gone off, done this thing, they come back black and blue, all covered in blood, they've got a couple of severed heads. You know, well, here's a point, you know, here's a point, you're going to need that. And then, oh, by the way, you lost your crossbow, here's my one, have that. And, you know, that's the kind, it was really nice. It was just heartwarming to see that those elements of the story were there. You didn't have to make them up. No. They're already there for you. And that was nice. I really enjoyed that.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of those things are just writing itself. I remember writing that. I was like, and they return to the end. And I was like, hang on, what would this character do? Of course, he would give away his crossbow. That makes sense, you know. So a lot of things are just, I don't come up with them. The characters, the NPCs has their own life, so they start to do things that I hadn't actually planned in the beginning. But I'm happy that you liked it, and well, it made sense for them to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We got Sean TW in chat there saying he strongly disagrees with me. Go on then, Sean. give me your version. Sean's also one of our players and one of our cartoonists, so it'd be good to. I can do that with your character as well, Sean, if you want to. You know, you don't have to get magical weapons. I'll let everyone else have them.
I think he was disagreeing with your statement that DM don't kill players that dice do.
It's a dice. It's definitely digital dice anyway.
Clearly been hacked.
Another question before we start looking at the actual books. Another nice thing to see is in the book itself, you also have a link. So there's loads of maps. You've got handouts in there as well, and you also provide VTT tokens, and all of that is in. You've got a link to it, so you never lose it. Basically, if you go to that link, as long as you don't change the website, then it's all there. And again, that was nice to see, and I don't have to crack the spine on the book trying to photocopy it. You know, print out my own maps. I can download the JPEGs, and that was another nice touch to see. And also the familiarity of we're going to start looking at the books in a second. The familiarity of the books, if anyone is a big fan of D&D 5th edition, most people are, and most people is their gateway anyway. It is a great, as a rule set, it's very good. The familiarity to that layout, having the flow charts, having the contents, the beginning, the background is all nicely done intro. And I think from going through and reading your books, I think they are very, very good for first-time DMs, for one-shots, all of that kind of thing. And you can pick up a one-shot book like The Stroke of Midnight, test it, try it, and if you like the way the narrative is written, then move up to a trilogy, because it's a nice stepping stone. It really, really is. So books. Are we happy to look at some books? Now I've got a couple of the trilogies here. So I have. Well, I'm going to ask the audience this. We have Rise of the Ice Dragons trilogy, and we have the Prophecy of the Nine Omens trilogy. I'm trying not to reflect it. There we go. So let me know which one you want to have a look at. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump in and start showing you all the bits that I enjoy. So that is open to the audience. First reply we get, Dragon or Nine. That was, I need Ice Dragons. You do need Ice Dragons, Baron. It is good. I'm just going to jump into Ice Dragons because I loved the artwork and I've just rolled it over my microphone.
That reminds me of The Witcher, Netflix.
It does, yeah.
Obviously, yours was first.
Right, I am going to switch my screens now for the audience. The screen's going to go a bit squiffy, so bear with me while I change the cameras around. There we go.
Who
is your artist, by the way? Is it the same artist you use for all the books?
We have various artists. I do quite a lot of the art. Initially, I did almost all of the art, which was a little bit crazy. And then eventually, that was one of the reasons why we started with Kickstarter. So we could go like, oh, maybe we can have other people do this. So we're working with Toby Lancaster. He's been doing quite a lot of the maps, from Dark Brown's maps. He's British, and he draws them by hand. And then watercolors them, so it's just amazing. We're working with Alena Milnar. I can't really pronounce her name. Yes, she's been doing all the NPCs portraits. She's also like amazingly good, and her portraits are just like, we sent her the weirdest description ever. It's like, well, he kind of looks like Willow, but not quite, and he's also not actually a boy, he's a girl. So, and she's like, oh yeah, I get exactly what you mean. So she's been doing that. We've been working lately with Daniel Kwasniksaka, who's been doing concept art for Skyrim, Diablo and a lot of other things. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, these are the main artists. Also, Lizard Inc. Maps did the first original map. And then we have a little bit of bits and pieces, which is some stuff that I've been doing, and others which is mainly from stock art. So, but really good stock art. So, yeah.
So some of the things to bear in mind. Where are these printed and bound? Because again, anyone looking familiar, these are big hardback books. They are not paperback.
Yes. No, we use a drive-through RPG.
Yep.
As a printing company, they collaborate with Lighting Source, and they have factories in the States, the UK, and I think Australia as well. So it's like locally produced. We've been using the premium option before. Then later, summer they changed, so we're using the standard edition. But it's still like really nice thick paper.
Yep.
So thicker than the 5th edition. And I think it's called Perfect Binding. Yep. And I don't actually remember the paper quality, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I mean, this is 164 pages. There are 3 adventures in here, which makes up a trilogy. But I mean, it's really, really nice. It's really, really familiar. So each adventure is in there as a whole. So the contents this is Adventure 1 contents. And just to kind of give everyone a breakdown there. So about the adventure, the synopsis, additional downloads, everything you need is listed. The flowchart, the background, the hooks. So story hooks, why your players are going to be there, what you can put on them. You've got chapter 6, 7, 8, chapter 9, plus the appendix. Okay, and then you've got things in there: new monsters, new magic items, legend and lore. It is really
and
really
how
nice.
to scale the adventure as well, which is good.
Yes, and it's actually very, very well done as well. It's very well put together. Plus the player maps. So that's but those are in the digital download anyway. So it's nice to have them in the book, but obviously you've got the don't copy the book, use the download.
Yeah, because you do offer a VTTT, terrible VTT pack with the current Kickstarter, don't you? Oh, it says it's there in the book as well.
Yeah. So you have the breakdown of the adventure. If anyone's familiar again with more recent 5th edition, you have the kind of flowchart of how to set out the story, how to run the adventure is also here, and then so a little bit of background. The adventure hooks is nice to see. There's Bjorn.
Yeah.
Really nice, gentle dwarf. There's the map, which is on the back of the book as well. Vidina, who owns the bar. There's the Black Knight. He's a paladin who's gone off to fight the Minotaur, which I really enjoyed reading about. And again, player maps. There's the labyrinth that you saw on the dragon page, and just these little bits as well. So this is one of the things you find inside the labyrinth is this kind of grave marker. And there's some I won't spoil it for people, there's some writing on there as well. But again, it's really nicely put together. Now I wanted to quickly show some of my favourite pieces that I spotted in here. There's 2 things. There is the Snow Fox. Look at that.
Yeah, that is a brilliant piece of art, that is.
Yeah, I need that as a familiar one.
Yeah.
How cute is that? And then we also have the Ice Dragon artwork. Now, look at that. That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That is really nice. And because it's on matte paper, you've commissioned these artists to do this work.
Some of it isn't commissioned, some of it is stock photos, stock images that we bought online.
Okay.
Also, when we did Rise of the Ice Dragon, I broke my wrist in a kind of untimely manner. So that really explains why some of the artwork for the VTT isn't that great, because you colorized it. I was like, that's fine, just do it. So, but yeah, and I don't think that there's necessarily something wrong with using stock art at all. It's like, obviously there's an artist behind that. And it's a little bit about finding the right one and then fitting it and all of that. And especially if there are other creators out there, it's like, using stock art is fine, but make it personal, make it your own.
Yeah.
So, and mix it up. I mean, some of it could be stock art, some of it could be you can draw it yourself or your friends could do it, and then later on maybe have it commissioned. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those dragons, I would love to see like posters, that kind of stuff. Posters, postcards, whatever you could do. That would be really nice. And it was nice at the end that we get to celebrate.
It was nice.
Why not? You survived the trilogy.
I like that. Yeah, it's the Academy, Alchemy Academy, who's doing fireworks, the Indian.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. This is the end of the story, but there was another thing as well. Was where was it? It was the dragon stats, which was nice to see because. So this is the dragon. So we have, you can't really see it, it won't really fit on the frame, but we have, let's try and move the camera up, there we go. We have an entire 2 pages dedicated to monster stats, and this is an ancient white dragon. So you have all your stats, all your numbers over here. Here are your actions, and here are your legendary actions. Really nice, laid out, easy to read. Brilliant, fantastic. Then you have an adult ice dragon. So allowing you to scale means that you could pick, what are they going to, is this a level 20 team? Okay, let's throw the ancient ice dragon at them. Okay, mid-level, we go for adult. You've also got a young ice dragon and even a wormling. So all the stats you need, you haven't just got one monster stat. It's just really, really nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, that was your idea.
Yeah, I thought it'd be because we have.
Gave you a migraine jumping into that.
It's just it quickly became obvious, especially started with when we decided to make the adventure scalable, and that was your suggestion, and it's been hugely appreciated by a lot of people. Got in touch and said we love this because
it wasn't actually my idea. It was someone who said that it was a comment from a backend during our first adventure. They're like, "Can you make this scalable?" I was like, "Absolutely. How do I do that?"
It makes sense because you find an adventure that you like, and then your party is a completely different level.
Yes.
So, and with the dragons, I just felt like, okay, so these ice dragons are the centerpiece of this trilogy. But clearly, if I had this book, I would want to throw one at my party, which is now level 3. So, so what do we do here? So, yeah, and lots of fun to do.
Then we have it there. If I bring the camera back down, how to scale the adventure is you've got the tier system here, so how to do it, and then you've got skill checks and saves. So depending on what tier you are, based on the level bracket you are up here, then you can increase it. Again, discover an underground temple. Different ways of doing things. So again, you can take the bare bones of that story and really upgrade it.
Yeah. Well, it's something that people have asked for, and also, I mean, if you're a new DM, you might not be entirely sure of how to do that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why we added it as well. So, because it's just, especially when you're new, you're like, is this going to be lethal? Is it going to be too easy? It's hard to have that balance. And it's also one of the reasons why we added the non-combat options for some of the adventures, because not everyone are sort of, they might not be entirely comfortable with running adventures, or then I mean, it depends on how you use the rules as well. I mean, some DMs just tend to wing it, and others are very sort of by the book and by the rules.
So without giving too much away, now this is specifically the Ice Dragon we've been looking at just right now. Now this is not what a Kickstarter is about. So if you check out the live links in Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have the links below for you in the descriptions. So do go and check that out. Tell us more about the Drow Kickstarter, the Drow Trilogy.
Me? Well, so it is, again, it's a revamp of an existing trilogy that we ran for our first Kickstarter back in 2019, which was digital only. And there's been a lot of requests for having that in print, and we've said for a year. I've responded to emails almost on definitely on a weekly basis, sometimes on a daily basis, saying that, they are not available in print yet. I'm really sorry, we are going to get to it, and we just kept running into things that didn't make that possible until now. So we finally got back to that. So it's the original trilogy, but with lots of new art, expanded, and the 3 adventures are expanded, and we've also expanded the compendium that's added to it. Specifically, we've added more background to the main characters, because that feels like a very central thing, key thing to do to the adventure, sort of trying to make it feel as if there's a persistent threat leading up to a big confrontation.
Because when we wrote them initially, we're like, oh yeah, we should have a villain. Oh, it's some sort of dark elf, isn't it? You know, and then we're like, oh yeah, maybe we should sort of, you know, introduce that a little bit earlier.
Foreshadowing?
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Like, what do we do with that? Same things like that.
You mentioned the foreshadowing. I've just seen something there. I'm curious because I'm into DM mode. I want to check something out.
I was gonna ask about that because we talked about how your adventures are interlinked and how there are 4 trilogies.
Yes.
As the writers, is there a sequence that you would run them in? Is there a preferred sequence? I'm assuming they can be played in any sequence and not even with the same characters, but is there, to get the best out of this overarching story, a preferred play sequence?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you want to run it in order, you could. You must. As a recommendation, you can first run the Hunters for Moon trilogy, and then after that, slip into the one-shot murder mystery adventure, Murder at Old Wolf Inn, which is available only as PDF. Then go to Secrets of the Drow trilogy. And then after that, do What Happened to Avie Ashwood, also Lovecraftian murder mystery. Mm-hmm. And then after that, head north and do Rise of the Ice Dragon. Then go down to Shinsburg Castle and do Before the Stroke of Midnight. And then play Prophecy of Nine Omens.
Because I've just seen... So
we do have like mini adventures that you can slip in between, but those are options.
I've got both the Ice Dragons and the Nine Omens. So the Nine Omens, I just noticed on chapter 4 is Warblington. Yes. And then this is the Ice Dragon. At the end, you get the invite from is it Lord and Lady? Yeah, Lord and Lady. Warblington.
Yes.
I was like, that's a strange name. And then I've just realised it is there. So is that kind of foreshadowing as well? Or is that just an innocent thing that you're connecting the dots? Oh, okay.
I tend to connect adventures. That's just how my brain kind of works. I also place Easter eggs, like everywhere, which some of them you haven't even noticed.
No, this is because almost everything. This is TOVE as well, and because I am sometimes part of the playtesting group. I can sit in mid-session with everyone else and I go, we go that. Hang on a second, and then just find something corresponding with an earlier adventure, which is tons of fun.
It's a nice way of doing it. Again, when I mention that kind of TV series kind of thing, it's an element of you could do this. So
that's three. Just go back to that page.
You go ahead. Which one? I've lost it.
The one that you just had open.
That one?
No, the one with the crows. And the guy in silhouette. It's where we spend the next 10 minutes looking for the picture.
I love this as well. There's
Totally distracted now.
Yeah.
All I was going to say is that's a great piece of art. That was all.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's one of the portals. So they are kind of shattered around a little bit in the in Eastern Faraway and elsewhere. Most of them are just sort of crumbled to dust or are destroyed. Some of them are activated, but very rarely. Ones, depending on star constellation, also if it's like midwinter, midsummer. Some of them are guarded, some of them are not.
There are quite a few Easter eggs, and many of them are just Easter eggs, but quite a few of them also build up to the main narrative, so they go from one trilogy to another, and which is something that we like when we're playing things, and you see that red thread running through something, and we've had fantastic responses from some Kickstarter backers saying, I remember some in particular have gone, okay, so I'm a DM, my group, they have found this and this, They are now completely obsessed with this particular feature. And they refuse to leave this area until they have an answer. So please tell me what the hell is going on.
And I'm like, that might come back in adventure level 14, so don't hold your breath. But I like sort of adding it, but if you don't pay attention to it, it won't actually matter that much. It's just nice if you go like, hang on, that's the same name. Is that the same, but if people miss it, it's not the end of the world either. It's just...
I found it...
No,
like,
when,
go on, Steve.
Yeah, but when you notice things like that, that's what really draws you in.
Yeah.
I think. When you, like, because, we've played, obviously, Wizards products as well, and when you hear a name in a certain adventure that you remember from previous ones, it does draw you in. You say, oh yes, there's a thread here. There's something to uncover below the surface.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I like that, I tend to sort of add it in our adventures as well, and just sort of like. But if you miss it, that's okay. You can just sort of, or if you just play one shot, it doesn't matter. But sometimes it's just nice to hang on. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's like when you read a book, you go like, wait a minute, and you go back and you're like, no, it's okay.
To me, as a player, it really makes the world my characters in feel more real, more alive. It's like, this is an actual place. Things have consequences here, and they are linked.
That's what I mean. Having that town of like in the books I've got, you got the town of Winterhold, so you get to know those characters. But like the whole Warblington, so you get to know this, but you actually get to go there. So it fleshed as a TV series, as an idea. The episodes 1 to 24 is basically your levels. So what if here's an idea? You may already had this idea. What if kind of box set 1 is all of the trilogies you're doing, that takes you up to level 20. And then you end. And then you start season 2. New world location, back to level 1. And then you just keep doing these box sets of world locations. You could do literally.
That is something that we have talked about actually.
Well, there you go.
So, I like that idea. It's very clever.
And does this mean anything?
Yes, it does actually.
Without spoiling the spoilers.
It's written in runes, and I think it says something about like Njord is the only god, but in Norse runes. So, and I can't remember the name of the runes, like Skeldic runes, because there were different types of runes. So yes.
There was a question from Baron. I don't know if he was doing a spelling error or he got fast fingers or what. He says something in the last book inside the back pages.
Was that the Aegis Helmer?
Yeah.
You saw inside the back pages, and that was in the Yars Dragons book, yeah.
That's nice. I like that. And again, every book, not just every physical book. I mean, there's 3 adventures in here as well. This is another trilogy. Every book has magical items, extra background lore, monsters. I'm going to show you a really... This was there's one of the other books. Let's have a look. Straight Before Midnight is the Edgar Allan Poe. And then we have Evie Ashwood. I think it was Evie Ashwood. I'm not a fan of spiders. But you did a really, really nasty spider. It's... I'll try and find the big picture version.
Yeah, it is.
So is this the character sheet you were talking about?
So this is the character sheet. Yeah, this is really nice. So you've got, look, all these tentacles. So this is a kind of a Call of Cthulhu themed adventure.
Yeah, because we've just been playing quite a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and I was like, I want to do a Dungeons and Dragons but Call of Cthulhu adventure. And I was really poorly. I was like, come on, we'll do a Kickstarter. He's like, no.
I was
like,
delirious
yes.
at the time. I agree with anything. That went well.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and the character sheet, it was a lot of fun to do. And it also felt, it started with, we should have a character sheet for this because that's something we would like. And then we made it so that you could download it, which is where the whole idea with having downloadable assets started.
Yeah.
Because I've DM'd
there it is.
very...
No.
There it is.
How do you do that to a spider? I mean, spiders are ugly enough as they are, and now that's just...
That's the amazing concept being a biologist from the beginning. You go like, so yeah, well...
That is a large being. That is a large spider with, it says, intelligent eyes. Okay, so this thing is smart. This thing has done this on purpose. With a predator mouth, with razor sharp teeth, and then tentacles that come out and try to wrap you up.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
Well, that's Lovecraft.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
We received a lot of response about that. It's interesting because I'm quite like spiders, but we had many messages coming in. It's like, oh, I love that monster, and also I just can't. My players left the room in horror. They fled the table.
Yep, they're gone. I don't blame them. Yeah, I would be gone as well. I also like this as well. There's a little bit of humour on there. We had the so adventurers needed. There we go.
Simple.
That's kind of what it would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. I like that. Right. What was this thing that Baron was trying to find?
It was in the back of the Ice Dragons book.
There's another character sheet. There we go. This is the murder mystery, Edgar Allan Poe kind of.
Yeah, it's got the quotes on there as well. Nevermore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's nice. I like that.
Yeah, really it's really nice. Is it? I haven't checked actually. Is this available as in part of the download file?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was naming a very well-known official adventure, which is full of beautiful things that are meant to be used as handouts. And I was sitting there with the book. It features a very well-known vampire, and with a pair of scissors, and I'm going, no. So I ended up photocopying all these things.
Yeah.
And I thought we can do something where we can actually just download everything you could possibly need, handouts and everything.
Yeah, and then with the pandemic, we're like, okay, well, we're definitely making sure that people can use it, because not everyone can play, as a group, even before. So we wanted to have that option as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we're quickly trying to find what Baron was looking for. Baron, if you see it, just shout out what it was.
I should mention that we have and still are looking into getting our adventures properly into VTT, as it were, on Roll20, on Foundry, etc. But we're just struggling to find the time, really, because it's quite an undertaking.
Yes.
So, but it's on our list.
Among many
other things.
Like any day now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Secrets of the Drow. I did make it to print now, so don't hold your breath. But
we've received a few already saying, well, this Secrets of the Drow, that's interesting. This other trilogy that actually comes before, where's the book? And you go, oh well, sorry. Does it exist yet?
Where would you say the inspiration comes from?
I think Baron's
You've got a few different themes. You've obviously got the heavy H.P. Lovecraft in the one shots, and then in the campaign you've got quite a few different themes. You've got Secrets of the Drow, you've got the Ice Dragons. Where does the inspiration come from? Have you got an inspiration that themes it all together? Or are you inspired by lots of different things, and that's reflected in the writing?
Well, I think for my part, I feel like each trilogy I want to have like a general theme. So Ice Dragons, obviously, dragons and winter. Hunters Full Moon is more sort of like, it's also because the seasons are changing. So Hunters Full Moon is set during autumn, and then as they move further north, the season is changing as well. So a lot of things are coming from that. I think it's just bits and pieces that sort of pops up. And then you see it together. I mean, obviously, like going for a Halloween adventure and Edgar Allan Poe wasn't a big leap. I think the Lovecraft adventure was pretty much because we've been playing a lot of Call of Cthulhu at the time, and so a lot of adventures just tend to write themselves in a way. At least the first draft. They usually start with like, wouldn't it be cool if they were ice dragons? And I'm like, what's an ice dragon? I was like, I have no idea, but let's find out. And then, Frozen Labyrinth kind of makes sense, and even cultists, that just, it kind of writes itself in a way.
I was just going to wait to see if there was another question from Baron. He says he did see what we were looking at there. So, yeah, that was fine. That was good, Baron. Well done. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so there's 4 days left on the Kickstarter. I know we chatted beforehand, and you had said that due to the response has been amazing. So you got funded in 15 minutes, as it says behind me, as I try ineffectually to move out of the way. You've actually run out of stretch goals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Of course, stretch goals.
And the thing is, like, for once I was really organized. I was like, everything is done, for once. Because usually it's like the first Kickstarter, we're like, oh, we reach our funding goal. We need a stretch goal. What's the stretch goal? I have no idea. So that's usually pretty much how it works. This time, I was so organized. I was like, I don't plan. And people were commenting like, you didn't even have time to update because you unlocked the first one. So, and when we just launched it, it had like a little hiccup the first 45 seconds. So we didn't get in. We were like, we're live. Oh, okay. No one is pledging. I guess no one wanted this then. And then sort of just came like an avalanche. So we're really surprised and very grateful for all the support. It's like, oh, thank you. People apparently want to read our adventures, and yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it leaves you kind of speechless, and we've spent a lot of time just looking at each other, looking at the screen. It's like, this is crazy. What's going on? And
it's like a nerdy dream.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of what it is, though, isn't it? I mean, it's trying to find out. I mean, again, when I was asking you about the very first Kickstarter, it's how you try to make a fully finished product, which is impossible to do. And then you kind of push the button. We do a Kickstarter, and you wait. And then it's kind of okay. Oh, we got one, and then it's like, oh, we got two, and then suddenly, as you say, you've got a target. Maybe if we get 100, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then to get 5 times, and then okay, now we can do. Let's do another one. Let's see what we can do, and let's continue to continue to tell the stories, the adventures, and let's interlink them together. Creating a whole world is really, really difficult to do. So congratulations for doing it that way. And again, from having the books, having a read through, what we're trying to do is, before we went live, I asked them if I was allowed to do a live version, a playthrough version of them. So we're going to continue to talk about that. We are going to do it. But we'll talk about how that happens and who's involved. We'll let everybody know when we decide. But it's, again, these books are fantastic, whether you're a new DM, an old DM who's set in their ways. There's a lot of information here. It's really good content. Don't be dissuaded because it's not Wizards of the Coast. Okay? There are lots of good artists and writers out there, and sometimes Kickstarter is the only way to get noticed. So, I really applaud you for what you're doing. I do have an image of Death is the Only the Beginning, but it means I have to switch the cameras around again to put it on screen. So, Steve, have we got any more questions coming?
I'll stick up the link.
You got the link, yeah.
I'll put the link in for that. So, the Death is Only the Beginning is level 3 mini adventure.
Yeah.
It's available on Drive Through RPG at the link that I've just posted there. This is a pay what you want. So it's up to you. Pay what you want for PDF. And then the other link that was active in the timer that's been going up whilst we've been doing this session is for Before the Stroke of Midnight, which is on offer. The offer went live at 9 p.m. BST when we went live, and I believe will run for 24 hours. So you will get a varying degree of money off on that one, whether you're going for the PDF or one of the print copies.
Cool. Any to our live audience who are watching, any last questions? We are getting towards the end of the hour, so please get them in now. I'm going to pick on the two of you again because I keep harking on about I've noticed you dodging the question of what comes after level 12. And I know it's level 13. But
I was going to ask the same question, but in a different way. Does the success of this Kickstarter change your plans for next year? Are you going to maybe remaster some of the earlier stuff, or will we continue with the next step in the next trilogy, the 5th trilogy?
Well,
I'm looking at the source of adventure there.
Well, what we at the moment, I am kind of play testing a trilogy of adventures, which could be potentially the next trilogy after Nine Omens. Having said that, though, Nine Omens kind of ends quite nicely. It doesn't really. Well, it does. There will probably be, a new trilogy after that.
It does, because it was the story where, again, I've been reading the other books, and it has that way home story, and it has that kind of what comes next. This one, you kind of sail off into the sunset.
Yes.
And there's no hook. There's like, now what's the next one?
I know. So it was a little bit like, it depends on which type of response we get, because it is high level. I'm not entirely sure if people want a trilogy which is level 13 to 15. A lot of the Wizards of the Coast adventure, they don't really run that far. People tend to get tired of the characters, or the character dies. So we will probably maybe do that eventually, but I think that Hunter's Full Moon is probably going to be before that. And then I have an idea for a really, really different type of murder mystery that I desperately want to write. So it kind of depends, to be honest. It depends. Yeah. So that doesn't really answer the question, but eventually there will be maybe a new trilogy, maybe Hunter's Full Moon will come to print. I think that had to happen eventually. A murder mystery, and then people have been talking about that they might want to have a Eastern Faraway companion guide, but that will probably take a year to write. So that is going to come 2024, something like that. So
it's on the schedule. That's good.
Well, we'll most likely do 2 Kickstarters next year. So hopefully that will be Hunter's Full Moon and a murder mystery. I think it's going to be a murder mystery. So I really want to do that. So yeah, we'll see. Cool. No one else.
Thank you very much. Steve, any last questions before we wrap up?
No more questions.
Okay. We have run out of time there, folks. It is the hour. You know how this works. You will be able to catch us up again on YouTube. Probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, it'll be there. And we'll send this out across our socials. Tove, Erik, thank you so much for sparing the time to having a chat with us. The books are excellent. Everybody, coach. Oh, here's a question. The photos you sent of you in the bookshop or the gaming shop,
yes.
Was that a shop in Oxford?
No, it's like so originally we're from Stockholm.
Yeah.
So this is like our fantasy bookshop that we've been going to for forever before, and then we moved to Australia, and then we moved to the UK. But so it's like our old childhood fantasy bookshop. Oh. So we're really happy to see our books there. So, and it's actually on the pictures, it's one of our friends. The other is Erik's sister. So.
Yeah. And it's a serious life goal to get our books into their shop, because it's like the equivalent of Forbidden Planet, but in Stockholm. And it's right there back in the oldest part of Stockholm, and we've been going there forever.
So it's like achievement.
Yeah, we said that when we started writing first adventures. What if we could get an adventure in there? That would be absolutely nuts. And now they're there, which is mind-blowing.
That's nice. I was just thinking, if that's a gaming shop in Oxford, I'm going to Oxford. Where is this shop? I want to go there shopping, because I have not seen a shop that looks that good and that kitted out in a very long time for purely gaming content. What that looks to be.
It is an amazing place.
Yeah. I wish I had one in here in the UK. That's a shame, but okay, we'll have to go to Stockholm next.
We'll have to go on a road trip. We can go like through Northern Europe to Eschenspiel.
Yeah. Oh yes. When is that? we got Gen Con to do in August. I'm saving up for Gen Con, Steve. Right. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. Tove, Erik, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you back, maybe. Or, you know, the next Kickstarter, come back, have a chat with us, and we'll see your booster again.
Well, cool. Thank you so much.
Everybody watching at home, at the office, on the bus, wherever you are, we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.